Welcome to this week's episode of At the Boundary, the podcast from the Global and National Security Institute at the University of South Florida. I'm Jim Cardoso, Senior Director for GNSI and your host for At the Boundary. Today on the podcast, we're going to talk about next week's GNSI DC Experience. We're sending 6 students to Washington, D.C. for a week to gain invaluable exposure to the heart of the nation's national security enterprise. They'll be traversing the D.C. Beltway, visiting key government agencies, national security institutions, and leading think tanks. They'll engage directly with practitioners and experts in national security while making vital connections that will help jumpstart their post-USF careers. We'll be joined by a couple of the students making the trip in just a moment. But first, couple quick notes. GNSI's Journal of Strategic Security is continuing its call for papers for an upcoming special issue focused on the evolving landscape of nuclear and conventional deterrence. Submission deadline is September 1st. Now, that may not seem like a long time from now, but in the world of research and academic journals, it's right around the corner. We'll have a link for more info in the show notes. GNSI is also in search of students interested in research fellowship roles starting in the fall semester. These will be terrific opportunities for students, both USF and non-USF, to work in vital areas of research and build their resumes in national security, all while receiving course credit. We're looking for resident and non-resident students, both undergrad and graduate, to aid our research efforts in resistance and resilience as it relates to irregular warfare, strategic competition, and society and the military. Check out the GNSI website for more information and application procedures. Finally, the latest GNSI decision brief was just published and is available on our website. Guest author Greg Howell, a former senior official with the U.S. Agency for International Development, examines the Global Fragility Reauthorization Act, which was introduced last year and is currently in Congress, and would build upon the 10-year plan of the original Global Fragility Act. We'll drop a link to our website in the show notes, and you can hear more about this issue when Greg appears on At the Boundary next week. It's time now, however, to talk with this week's guests. So let's welcome into the studio Dontavious, Ellis, and Santiago Zambrano, 2 of the students who will be going to DC next week, along with our own Sophia Montero, GNSI's events planner, who put together the itinerary and will be in DC as well to ensure all goes smoothly. All right, we are joined in the studio by Don Ellis, Santiago Zambrano, and Sophia Montero. Thank you so much for joining us on At the Boundary.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
absolutely.
us.
So first, we're going to start off. Just want to hear a little bit about yourselves, your background, where you're from, what brought you to USF, what you're studying, anything else as well. And also, I want you to include one interesting factoid about that speaks to who you are. You know, it could be a hobby, could be an interest, just something noteworthy. So let's see. We'll go back and forth on this. I'll tell you what, you're a junior and you're a sophomore, right? So, okay, I'll make the junior more mature and older, so I'll make you go first. So Santiago, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself?
Well, as you said, I'm Santiago Zambrano. This is my junior year here at USF. Well, I was originally born in Colombia, then moved to the US when I was 14 years old. What got me to USF? Well, my grandmother was a dean in a very somewhat prestigious university in Colombia. And she always had like a partnership with the USF. So people from USF would always go to this campus university. And she will always tell my mom, hey, I need you to go to USF. You're going to go to USF. I don't know, as a transfer student, we're gonna make things happen. Well, what happened was that I was born and things had to change a little bit. But when I was told about that dream and when she told me about that, I'm like, well, I want to take that and I want to take that to myself. I'm going to go to USF. I want to do this. Later, I moved to the US. I have family living here. And I decided to make my goal. I want to go to USF. My first thing was I went to high school, Chamberlain High School. And very close to USF, by the way, like 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm like, man, I'm right there. I'm 10 to 15 minutes. I got to make it. And I did my best. So unfortunately, when I was a freshman, I couldn't get in. Went to HCC instead. But I said, I still want to go to USF. I want to do my best. And I got here majoring in political science because I really like how this field, there's so much impact on people in public policy, in national security. And that's what got me into political science major. And now I recently declared a minor in intelligence studies. That's something that I really consider really cool and want to know more about it. And yeah, I'm going to graduate next year. So very excited for that.
Okay, I need a hobby, an interest, or an interesting factoid about you. Although, being born, the kind of your story right there, but I'll give you a chance if there's anything else you want to bring up.
I like soccer and
That's not a surprise, though. I mean, maybe I'm generalizing. I'm sorry, audience world. I'm generalizing. Area for Colombia, you must like soccer, but that's exciting with FIFA coming to the U.S. In the near future.
Yeah, well, the thing about soccer is that I like being competitive with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was talking to my team and how they're looking in the league, in the league, my favorite team is Real Madrid. And we were talking about Premier League, Chelsea. And I always look at soccer the same way I look at my studies and my classes, for example. Every test for me is like a soccer match. I got to win that game.
No draws. No draws allowed.
No,
gotta win.
Yeah. I gotta win. Finals is like really I made it to like the final for the Champions League, for the World Cup. I gotta win this. I want to get a 4.0 GPA, and that's what I view. So that's the interesting thing. That's the interesting thing. I like soccer, but that's translated into my viewpoint in academics. Every single class is like a soccer match. And it's exciting for me to play soccer, so it's exciting for me to learn more about my classes and ace those tests.
Okay, so your World Cup finals are coming up in the next few days. So hopefully you're gonna finish this podcast and get back to studying. Don Ellis, over to you. What about you?
All right, thank you. My name is Don. I'm a sophomore in electrical engineering here at USF. I know it's probably a big jump for me to be sitting in the room with you all, but I'll start from when I was a kid. I was just telling Santiago outside how I had a car that I was turbocharging in high school, but I ended up blowing up the motor. But that was my first taste of engineering, and I found electrical to be the most intriguing out of them all. And I had a little bit of cybersecurity experience growing up with video games, just understanding, where things are vulnerable. But what really drew me here, to the FSP program is I feel like there's a big gap between a lot of engineers when it comes to the technical layer and understanding, who's making the decisions on a lot of the things we build here. So, that's really what drew me here. But,
okay.
What are the other ones?
What's an interesting factoid about you? I mean, besides blowing up a car, which is good by itself.
I figured that would pass off as my
It does, but I'm gonna press a little bit.
I would say,
what makes Don Ellis Don Ellis?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Don't get too metaphysical on us, though, either. So, okay.
I gotcha. I would say I love fencing. It's a really not really a big sport, but I came to college in my freshman year and I started fencing. I never knew the sport like that existed, but I started fencing and it was just something so new that I absolutely love and still do to this day. So that's a fun fact about Don.
Also competitive. I mean, it's like what Santiago talked about, but also, in fact, that's more of that one-on-one competition. So with finals, you see that professor as your direct opponent. You can't say that. You're right, but I can say it, so it's okay. I'll say it for you. So no problem. No, look, that's interesting. I mean, you say, well, I like fencing. I was not expecting that. So that was that's a great aside. So Sophia, not a student. Yeah, you're going to get to play in this too. So I'd say more, you're not a student, but what brought you to USF? What brought you to GNSI? And again, I already know some factoids about you, but I'll let you talk about it.
I'm the conference and events planner here at GNSI. I definitely did not expect to end up in the world of national security, but here I am. And it's been a very interesting journey. It kind of makes a little bit of sense because I spent 8 years before starting college expecting to be an FBI agent and planned to study criminology. So that was what I started off in college as, a criminology major. but quickly realized that it just wasn't for me because I'm a people person, but in the happy sort of party going, get together, social gathering type of way. So I decided to start studying event management at the University of Florida, and also took up a second degree in marketing because the two go hand in hand. And that led me here.
Excellent.
So I do the events and conferences for GNSI. I've had the opportunity to plan maybe like 20 events now in total.
You've done a few, some big and some small, But I can say that we're doing this. This is an audio only podcast, but I'll try to see if I can paint a picture with my words here. Sophia has been fantastic. Sophia prefers to be behind the scenes doing stuff because she is busy squeezing a stress football right now as she is talking to us. But you're hanging in there. We're having a conversation. It's all good.
Definitely more event management than marketing.
Yes. But that's okay. Well, that's what we hired you to do, and you're doing a fantastic job of it.
Thanks, Jim.
Back to the students. So what attracted you, and I'm going to let Don, you're going to get to go first this time.
All right.
What attracted you to the Future Strategist Program, broadly?
So I actually had, I would say a semester ago, I did not know that GNSI as a whole existed. I have to give a huge shout out to Dean Batson, Assistant Dean Batson of the College of Engineering, because he figured, I'm someone who's very big on the defense industry. I really want to learn more about it. He actually sent the DC Experience to me via email and said, hey, I think this is a really good fit for you. You should apply.
That's great.
And then I looked more into it. I was like, wow, I can't believe I never knew this existed. So everything really expanded from there. As I've gotten more in depth into FSP program, I've really learned a lot. I've developed an insane amount that I feel a lot of engineers really kind of step over. Being able to translate from just hearing numbers and circuits all day to people talking about decisions and information that really impacts our world as a whole. That's something that really drew me to the FSP program.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad, that's really great to hear you heard from your assistant dean. So that mean the word's getting out across university that these opportunities exist. Also, it's important. We want all types to come to this program. So a lot of people would not align an electrical engineering major with national security, but national security needs the poli-sci experts. National
Absolutely.
Security needs the techies, the electrical engineers. It'll need people who are in finance and business. So, and I think we have all those in FSP. We're up to 122 students now. So it's really great to hear that. I'm glad to have people like you, and also your dean for recognizing that as well. That's a shout out to this university that they're in tune with their students and giving them some opportunities, because that's what we want to do. So that's fantastic. Santiago, over to you. What brought you to FSP and the DC experience as well?
Well, for FSP, to start with, my first semester at USF was last semester as a transfer student. So I was like, what should I do at USF? This is so big. This is a humongous campus. So many clubs, so many student organizations. Where should I join? So one day I found myself walking at the bull market, and I saw this Future Strategist Program table. And I'm like, what's this? And I'm like, hey, what's this? Oh, this is a club, and they started saying everything about FSP. And I'm like, I was prepared to leave and just continue my way. And then I came back and I asked, hey, I'm a poli-sci major. Do I qualify for this? I'm like, of course, this is open to all majors. And I'm like, oh, wow, then sign me in. And I immediately went to the Bulls Connect and immediately registered for that. What happened later is I forgot about it. And one day I was working and I started receiving messages in Teams, Microsoft Teams. And I'm like, who's messaging in Microsoft Teams?
You're spamming me. This is unacceptable.
Me? Yeah. I didn't request to join the Teams group chat. But then I realized, oh, wait, I did sign up for this.
Yes, you did.
When I went to the Bulls Connect and searched for FSP. And I'm like, wow, this is interesting. This is everything I was looking for. I was looking for a political science organization that wasn't really political science because I was interested in more fields about it, not only the theory side. I'm a Model UN guy. I did Model UN when I was in community college, but I was looking for something else, something more national security, public policy type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And without me like trying to look for it, it came to me. And I'm like, wow, I really want to be involved in FSP. I really want to go to this opportunity, to these conferences and everything. So that started last semester. What happened was that I was still adapting to USF, and it wasn't until this semester that I started becoming more involved in FSP. So what got me into the DC experience? That's the other question. And I'm a poli-sci major. DC is a dream coming true.
It's the place you got to go eventually. Yeah, we're very proud of the fact we're outside the DC bubble, but it's you do need to understand and see the DC up front as well.
Yes. And when I saw that, I'm like, I told my mom, that's my dream. But at the same time, I'm like, I know that this is going to be something many students are going to apply for. But I will do my best.
Mm-hmm.
I will do my best. I will draft the best personal statement I've ever drafted in my whole, college life, and polish my resume, and really DC, national security, public policy. Those are the things that got me into poli-sci, and seeing that was that inner kid that always dreamed about DC coming to flourish. So that's what got me to the DC experience.
Excellent. Well, yeah, I hope it lives up to your expectations. I'm glad to hear about the bull market. I'm glad because we're putting the FSP is going out of the bull market. I'm glad it's having some positive impact and pulled some students in. Sophia, so you've been working through the agenda on this DC experience. The first time we've ever done it in GNSI. USF has run a program like this before, but we're sort of restarting it. Talk us through some of the not all the events, but generally just take a couple minutes to talk about some of the things the students are going to do while they're up there.
Well, we have several exciting activities planned for the students. There are a few different organizations that the students will engage with. They'll be having lunch with the Center for a New American Security. They'll also get the chance to meet with Palace advisors up there to learn more about the consulting role. We'll be having a State Department briefing with Hiram Rios Hernandez, who is a USF alumni. We'll be doing some of the typical, more touristy things, but must-dos when you are in DC, like visiting the Pentagon, a tour on Capitol Hill, and visiting the National Mall. We'll also be hitting the Spy Museum for a meeting with Lieutenant General Bob Ashley and Major General Charlie Cleveland, followed by a tour of the museum. So it will be really interesting. There'll be a variety of different experiences. The students will get access to top leaders within the national security field, deeper insight into the decision-making processes of top leaders and organizations, an overview of these organizations that are dedicated to making an impact on national security through advocacy, research, and defense, and lots of networking opportunities as they interact with all these different people. So it's going to be a great experience for the students. We have a very busy schedule.
Well, I like the way, too, that you put together, you have a combination of, we're seeing some government entities, we're seeing some think tanks, we're seeing both the national security side,
Definitely.
the intel side, the diplomatic side, Department of State's featured prominently. So we want the students to see all those things. So that way, obviously, the students can learn from this experience, but also, some of them may have an idea of this is what I want to do in national security. And maybe that's what you want to do. Or maybe you may learn something new and go, that thing is actually kind of interesting too. So it'll help to refine where you want to go as well. So that's a kind of a segue. So let's see, you get to go first this time, Santiago. So what do you, so you heard that, and maybe you've been tracking some of it. What's the one thing on there? Just, you only get to pick one. What's the one thing on there you look forward to most while you're in DC?
Only one thing?
Only one. Yeah, you got to pick one. Yeah, I know they're all up there, but what is one thing on there that's just like, that looks really cool. I look forward to it.
Well, that definitely a complicated question, but I've never been to Capitol Hill, never been to the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
I would choose both, but I'm looking forward to that tour in Capitol Hill.
Yeah,
definitely. It's my dream to be there. So being there for the first time is definitely, as I said, that inner kid, that exposure that will definitely refine career path.
Yeah.
So definitely Capitol Hill.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to get you some, meet some people on the Hill as well. That's what we're looking to do. So we're still refining some parts of the agenda in that regard, but it's moving forward. Don, how about you?
Yeah, I was hoping Santiago didn't steal my answer. I'm really looking forward to that spy museum because I didn't mention this earlier. As a kid, I'd watch a lot of, investigative shows, and there were some cartoons on. There's this little cartoon with like there's the white hat and there's the black hat. There's these little spy guys.
Spy versus spy or something,
or something like that.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things that really sparked my cybersecurity side of things. So I'm really looking forward to feeling like a kid again, or understanding what really sparked it all from the start.
Yeah, and you're going to get a tour of kind of the Intel sort of apparatus up there too, from one of our non-resident fellows, Manoli Priniatakis. So that I'm so glad that he's a part of that. Sophia, how about you? You're not a student. I've made that clear, but you're a young professional, and you're still gaining professional development from everything you do. You're going on this DC trip as well. You're going to see all these things. Anything you are looking forward to most above anything or looking to gain from it?
I'd say I'm most excited for this dinner that we're having, our first night in DC. That will be with some USF alumni who are working in DC. I think it'll be a great opportunity for all of us to connect with some folks who have been at USF and have been in our shoes, and to hear about their experiences to how they got to DC. I mean, I personally don't see myself out in DC, but just hearing about people's journeys and where they might have been before that, what they did before, how they got there, that's all inspiring to me because I'm 2 years post-grad, so still fairly early on in my professional career. And it's just interesting to see how far people can get, what all they do, how many different twists and turns life can take you on. So I'm just excited to make some connections with people who have a shared background and hear about their experiences and just make some real connections in DC.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I know it's probably hard for you to believe, but I do remember being in college and making that transition. I know it was in the Jurassic, but it really did happen. And I still remember, and I was in the Air Force. So I was at the Air Force Academy and I wanted to go to pilot training. And I just couldn't imagine doing that. I couldn't imagine there was a world where I would actually be a professional pilot. And that's what ended up happening. And for a lot of my career, especially early on, I mean, literally I was pinching myself going, I can't believe I'm doing this for a living. So I think that's neat what you said, in that a lot of these people we're going to meet were probably in a similar situation. They're at USF. They're going, this really want to do. I'd love to work in DC. I love to work doing this, but I don't know. That seems so hard. How do I get there? What's the pathway? And they're there right now. And again, what we're excited about FSP is that we're providing you additional pathways to find your way there, to meet people, to build your network, so that hopefully you're the alumni in a few years that we're doing this trip with, and you're the ones that are going to speak with the students. So we're very excited about that. Back to the students. So Don, start with you this time. So what aspects of the national security education and some of the experiential opportunities that we try to provide in FSP, which of those have been valuable to you?
I would say, I'm sorry, was it DC?
No. It's more about FSP in general, some of our experiential opportunities, some of the stuff we've been trying to do, or just being a part of FSP. What's really what have you really taken some value from? What's impacted you?
I would say the conferences. I'm listening to a lot of these panels as a electrical engineering student, and beforehand, I absolutely had no clue what half of these people were talking about. But as I attended these conferences and actually, took the time to listen to some of the questions people had as well, I really felt myself seamlessly integrating into the institute here at GNSI, from just listening to numbers and circuits all of my past previous college years. But to answer your question, is definitely the conferences. I love the ISE conference. I didn't get to see the competition, but
next year.
Yeah,
next year. You need to play next year. Yeah, it was. We were very excited about that. A lot of lessons learned, but it's definitely something we're going to continue.
Yeah. And I'll pass it on to
All
Santiago.
right. Santiago, what about you? Same question. So what your national security education, the opportunities you've had in FSP, what stood out to you?
I can say many things about FSP, right? First of all,
can't hog the microphone though. Okay. So you can't say too many. You're going to have to narrow it down a little bit.
I'll narrow it down. I'll narrow it down.
Okay.
First of all, I agree with Don. The conference is amazing. I got the opportunity to be student speaker for one of the conferences, the nuclear conference.
Mm-hmm.
The best experience I've ever had in my undergraduate years. And this is something that, for me to have that opportunity with FSP, that was unbelievable. I'm like, Mom, I'm going to speak in a conference at the Oval Theater?
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow. Well, that's first. Second of all, the opportunity to have a mentor. The FSP mentors that we have. My mentor, he's a DC, law enforcement manager at Meta. I'm like, wow. And I told him, I was speaking to him last week, and I told him I'm gonna go to DC, and having that opportunity to even connect with him at DC, that's something that in all his input towards my academic journey, that has been very valuable to me. And lastly, the coffee chats that we have every month.
Mm-hmm.
I attended one with Ambassador Phil Cosnet.
Cosnet, yep.
He went here like a couple of months before, and that was amazing. It really, every single opportunity that FSP offers has offered to me that refining path in my career. So that's why I'm really grateful with FSP for all that they're doing.
Yeah. Are you going to meet your mentor while you're up in DC? You're going to be able to meet up with him in person?
That's the plan. That's the plan. He'll be traveling during that week, but he said that if he's at DC during maybe Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah. Thursday, we're providing some time, especially Thursday afternoon. You should have some time to be able to do that. I would highly recommend that. I mean, it's a great opportunity to do that. And I'm glad that's having an impact on you, because we really wanted to make sure that, the students had that one-on-one opportunity with their mentors. So back to you, Santiago. So you're closer to graduation. So, you're a 2027 grad, you're a 2028 grad. So you got another year to think about it. So you're a little closer. What are your post-graduation career aspirations? I mean, not just national security, but even more broadly. Where do you see yourself after you graduate from USF?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Still
I hope so. I hope you've been honest the whole time. You've only been lying to me so far.
I'm still thinking about it. And I was talking to my mentor last Friday last Friday about it. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And it's
a fair answer. Believe me. Trust me. You're fine. Yeah.
And he told me, well, when I was in your shoes, I have no clue. I'm like, wait, actually, so I'm not the only one thinking like. He was like, no, the same thing happened to me when I was a senior. And I'm like, wow, because I'm just finishing my junior year. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I want to look for a master's. And something at the intersection of public policy, diplomacy, and even public administration. I'm still deciding, still refining my path. That's why I'm really looking for this DC experience, because I know that this DC experience will bring that exposure that brings clarity in career paths.
Mm-hmm.
So after USF, I'm still deciding whether or not to continue with the masters or see what other opportunity there are in the future. But definitely a master's.
Okay. Now, look, if there's any juniors at USF listening to this podcast right now, they're going, oh, I thought I was the only one that didn't know what I wanted to do. Believe me, most of your peers are still going that. They're like, oh man, I'm graduating in a year. I got to figure this out. Most people your age, and you are not alone in that. I'm glad your mentor said that as well. But you've got recent graduates of USF who were part of FSP. They've gone on and gotten their masters. I think Lily has gone to Johns Hopkins. Oh no! Wait, I can't remember. Shoot, I can't remember where Lily's going. But she got a paid, master's degree. She's gone. So there's opportunities that you can learn from if that's what you want to do. And I think it can be here. That may be something you transfer to the where was it? Johns Hopkins. Okay, I was right. Okay, good. I didn't want to have Lily get mad at me. But So that's something what you would probably want to do is try to stay linked up with her, because she's sort of charted that pathway, and it's an extremely competitive program she got into, and being part of FSP helped her with that. So it's something to think about.
Absolutely.
Don, over to you. What do you see yourself? You got a few more years to think about it, so you're allowed to be clueless as well.
I have to be the try hard in the room here. I just landed an internship at Orbital Corporation up in Zephyr Hills. It's a small defense facility, but I'm on a pretty clear path to be at the intersection of defense and cyber physical systems. But when I mentioned I'm a tryhard, I'm on my second attempt at starting up a company. So I'm founding HARMS, which is the Applied Research and Military Systems. Well, will be the Applied Research and Military Systems here at USF. It's going to be a defense organization focused on developing projects that help the military, help our men and women in the military. But how that's tying into DC is I need to understand who's setting the requirements, how programs are getting sourced, and how engineers and policymakers actually interface when something goes wrong. I'm going to need all of those skills as I'm building up an organization. So to answer your question, long term, I definitely do see myself being prominent in defense and cybersecurity, kind of mediating there.
But maybe more entrepreneurial, you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thought about maybe, I don't know, we'll see, maybe getting kind of the business side of it. USF has a PSA for everybody, outstanding business college here, Muma College of Business. So maybe that's to kind of, so you have the national security, you'll have the techie, you'll have the business, you'll be the triple threat.
Oh yeah.
You'll be ready to take on the world. Well, I think that, look, what you are going to see next week, or not next week, but in a few weeks is really going to be helpful towards that. I think, you're not going to see everything. You're just going to get a very wave top view of a lot of stuff. But have you been to DC before,
no,
Don?
I have not.
You said you hadn't as either, Santiago. So look, you're gonna have your eyes open. It's gonna be really great, and you're gonna just see and learn some things that'll be very valuable to you going forward. Yeah. So as we start getting towards the end of the podcast, I got we're gonna do a little lightning round. Okay,
right.
So this is just some questions just to kind of get you thinking about who you are, just letting people out there know who you are as well. So I'll start. Each has its privileges. So you get to go first, Santiago. Favorite food?
Italian food.
Okay.
Italian.
Ooh,
favorite food, Don?
man, honey barbecue chicken.
Ooh, that's good. Sophia, you're in the room. Favorite food?
I'm with Santiago on this, but specifically truffle cream pasta.
Well, you lived in Italy for a while, so yeah, you have an up on all of us. Okay, I'll start a different person. So, Don, favorite beach or preferred getaway, or it could be favorite beach.
Favorite getaway. I want to take
getaway.
Go
ahead.
Boulder, Colorado.
Okay, yep, I've been there. Very nice. It's beautiful. Yeah,
Clearwater Beach.
Clearwater Beach is fantastic, no doubt. Sophia.
Italy.
Yeah, of course. Where in Italy? That's a big country. Okay, you got to name a spot now.
Amalfi Coast for sure.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know. I was in Florence in wine country. It was very nice. I really enjoyed myself a few years ago. All right, so biggest surprise in being a college student, come from high school to college. What was kind of a big surprise at that transition?
Time management is key.
Time management. Yeah, I've heard that before. Excellent answer. How about you?
I need to actually talk to people. I wanted to be an introvert, but I didn't have a choice.
You're an electrical engineer,
I
yes.
didn't have a choice.
Yes, an outgoing engineer means you can look at the other person's shoes when you talk to him. Yeah, that means you're an extrovert for an engineer. Yeah, my younger son is also an engineer, and I would call him an introvert, but sometimes he would prefer not to have to talk to people, and he's okay with that. He seemed to be doing okay, though. How about you? What was, I would say, biggest surprise, not being a college student, but you came to GNSI? What sort of surprised you in being part of our organization, if anything? It's got to be something.
Yeah, the spring semester was definitely busy, but I've been in jobs where we had multiple events every weekend. So I think it's been interesting planning conferences where they only happen a few times a year.
Yeah. But when they happen, it's all in. There's a lot going on.
A lot more going on.
Okay.
Just me.
Fair enough. Don, start with you this time. On a typical weekend, I'd mostly find you.
Ooh, I wanna say working on projects, but I'm gonna be realistic here. Relaxing, watching a movie, cuddle in my bed.
That's okay. College student 101. How about you, Santiago?
Typical weekend will be playing with my friends, either soccer, basketball, or being relaxed with my family and church.
Okay, good. Sophia?
Yeah, I'm very social, so probably with friends. Yeah.
Okay, friends are good. I like that. No, yeah. See, none of you own houses. That's right. So if you owned a home, then you'd be doing yard. Yeah, Ty, the producer's shaking his head because he's a new homeowner. He knows you're at home taking care of that dang house is what you're doing. Finals coming soon. Santiago, which one are you the most stressed about?
Contemporary political theory. I have a 90 in that class, so I better have a good final.
Oh, you want the competitiveness coming out? Yeah. You don't want to be on the bottom end of that. You don't want to draw. You don't want to lose. You want to win that match.
I gotta win that game. I gotta win the match. Definitely.
All right. So I know what you'll be doing this weekend then.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna be prepping for that. Don, over to you. How about which one are you stressed about?
I'd have to say Python programming. I mean, I'm used to work with numbers all day, but we have to program, unfortunately. So Python.
That is part of electrical engineering, I heard. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So, all right. When does that one happen?
Oh, that one's going to be next week on Thursday.
On Thursday. All right. So, okay. So Sophia, slightly different. Which event or job duty has you currently most stressed? Now, if I'd asked you this question 2 weeks ago, it would have been a very different question, but how about right now? What's on your mind?
I'd say this DC trip, just finalizing all the details. But while I was in Italy, part of what I did was taking student groups to different parts of the continent, or of the European continent.
I know what the continent is. I hear you.
I had to specify for the podcast because I said Italy.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So I'm excited to be able to do that again here at USF with GNSI and take this group of students to DC.
So you're not stressed about it, actually. You're looking forward to it.
I am looking forward to it.
Okay. So we need to find something to stress you out again.
Please don't.
Yeah. We had her stressed a few weeks ago, but I would tell you, for the audience, you would never know. She keeps a smile on her face. Now, what's it you say? She's about to go lay out on Fowler Avenue. That's when she says that, then you know she's stressed out. That sort of thing. So I would say, look, for everybody here, thank you so much for joining us. It's really interesting to, we talk to a lot of great people in this podcast, but the next year and going forward in GNSI, we're definitely going to focus on that student engagement and that student success. We want to make sure that you have those opportunities. Now, you got to help yourselves as well. All right. So I'm lecturing the students now, in case you're wondering. You got to help yourselves as well. But I think that we're providing the opportunities, and I love the way that you guys are grabbing hold of them and taking advantage of them as well. So for Don, for Santiago, for Sophia, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Special thanks to our guests today, Dontavious, Ellis, and Santiago Zambrano, USF students who will be taking part in the GNSI DC Experience next week, and to our own Sophia Montero, who helped take this great idea and turn it into reality. As mentioned at the top of the episode, next week on the podcast, the author of our latest decision brief will join us. Greg Howell is a former senior foreign services officer with USAID and will be in our studio to discuss his decision brief, which focuses on the Global Fragility Act passed in 2019 and its sequel, the Global Fragility Reauthorization Act, which was introduced last year and is currently in front of Congress waiting to move forward. If you don't want to miss that episode or any other episode, be sure to like and subscribe to At the Boundary on your favorite podcast platform. And we thank you for sharing some time with us today. You can find GNSI on YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Tell your friends and colleagues as well. And be sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. You can find all this on our website, usf.edu/GNSI. That's going to wrap up this episode of At the Boundary. Each new episode will feature global and national security issues we found to be insightful, intriguing, maybe controversial, but overall just worth talking about. I'm Jim Cardoso, and we'll see you at the Boundary.